Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, there's just 317 days until Christmas 2022, and you guys missed all the fun that Meg and I were talking about before we came on live stream. Our favorite kind of pizza. We just hang out and chat. We have a good time. Thanks for being here again today, Meg.
Thank you so much for having me. I am on Hoth right now. I'm on business. Otherwise, because I'm still Marshal Meg, but I had to leave Tatooine. Because basically, there's rumors of this Rancor and some idiot with a helmet who just stormed through the city. So I left.
So unfortunately, I'm not hanging out in my North Pole cabin. I'm in this terrible place called Mustafar. It's way too hot here for Santa, but a bet's a bet, you know. And Sheev the Wise is this is Sheev's background. This is what. If you go to Vader's lair and you watch Sheev's videos, you see him on Mustafar here, and he had a bet that Cad Bane was going to be killed by Boba Fett. He guaranteed it. I guarantee you. And I said, no, you can't do that, Sheev. You can't do it. I'll take you on that bet. And so, for now, we're going to presume that Cad Bane is dead, even though we all know he's not. Right? We all know he's not dead.
No comment.
I still say he's not dead. And look, Adam, my friend Fanjexer, he agrees. He didn't die.
Santa, Kit Fisto is still alive then. You never saw the body. As soon as, the camera pans behind Granddaddy Palps and Mace, the body's gone. If Cad Bane lives, then so does Kit Fisto. And then they're like, oh, but that little beepy thing on his just fuck off.
Fuck off. Tell us how you really feel about it, Megan. Ronnie, we were having a chat. If you guys are on Meg's Discord, you should.
I dropped my headphones 1 second.
Okay. Quick, say something before she gets her headphones back on. Oh, my goodness.
There we go.
Oh, you're back. So, yeah, we're on Meg's Discord, and we're talking about different things. And one thing we learned today is one of your good friends doesn't know that you're Star Wars Meg.
Yes, she doesn't. And she watches Star Wars Meg. We were at, I don't know if anyone here is British, but we were at Wagamama, which is like a Thai Vietnamese fusion, delicious food. And, we're big Star Wars fans. That's kind of how we met at Comic-Con a few years ago. And we're talking about all these upcoming projects. And she's like, oh, yeah, do you watch anyone on YouTube? And I was like, yeah, a few people. And she says, oh, yeah, I watch Star Wars Meg. And then I was just like, oh, I'll have to check her out. This is a true story.
You didn't even reveal your secret identity. Somebody who knows your face, who knows what
who knows my name,
who knows your name, but doesn't know that you. So the two are not mutually compatible. Apparently, like either Megan, and you can recognize her on the street, or Star Wars Meg. You don't.
Well, what's funny is that a lot of people say that my voice, like how I'm speaking to you now, is very different to my recorded voice.
Oh, okay.
And my real voice, unedited, so to speak. Not that I edit my voice, like, when you add a bit of low, a bit of high, adjust the mids just to make sure it sounds professional. And apparently that sounds different to just me speaking normally like this.
I see. Adam, you're auto-tuned. Yeah.
Well, Nikki pointed out that when Cad Bane didn't die, but when he got, twatted in the chest, you actually hear, as he's quote unquote dying, an auto-tuned fart. It's
no, you don't.
Go back and rewatch it.
So the other interest, a lot of my friends know me as Brian. That's my real name, Brian, and they know that I'm a Santa Claus, but they haven't put the two together to know that I'm also Star Wars Santa. So most people I know, the vast majority of people I know, have no idea I have a YouTube channel, no idea about Star Wars Santa. So,
well, what about when you get like really famous on YouTube, and then because
well,
you're very recognizable physically because you look like Santa.
right, and I think they'll pick up on it, as they only a couple of my friends know, but that's about it. So I'll never be Star Wars Meg famous though. I just exist in your shadow. That's it. So as long as as long as I don't make it real big, they may not know. Who knows?
I'm sure you will. It'll take one video and then you'll blow up.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
All it takes.
Just one. We almost had it. And we'll talk a little more about making Star Wars. Jason Ward, he met Ewan in a parking lot, and
I was on the stream when he told us that.
We nearly had Ian McGregor live on our live stream. That would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been it.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was super exciting. We were like, wait a second, this might completely change. So very, very good. And I see we've got a lot of folks here in the chat. You guys I'm kind of watching and seeing what's going on over there. Star Wars Fits has half British, half Irish. Now, the question though is, in the UK, is anybody truly Irish or just British? I think everybody's a mix of all of it, right?
It depends on your heritage. Like my heritage is not Caucasian at all, so right. I'm not white English, but I'm English, so to speak. Right. But I have heritage all over the place. So, but I think Caucasian people in Great Britain and Ireland, as you say, like growing up, I had so many friends who were like half Welsh, half Scottish, something like that, some combination.
Yeah.
But obviously, only Northern Ireland is part of Britain, and the Republic of Ireland is part of Europe.
Sure. Exactly. And we won't get into the whole political side of that. That's a hot potato as well. Speaking of our live stream discussion, right? We were talking about potatoes and tomatoes and sausages and everything.
We were talking about our favorite pizza topping, and Santa said that his wife can handle the sausage.
That's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
Lies, deception. It's not
impossible.
True.
Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
It's not. It's impossible. It's not true. Yeah. It's. Oh my goodness! So we do have some Star Wars news to talk about. First of all, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
An absolutely perfect ending to a perfect series, right? We're all in agreement.
I mean, okay, I'm going to be very, very nuanced here, and I'm going to try and say exactly how I'm feeling about it. No exaggeration, just pure honesty. I loved chapters 1 to 6. I thought the journey was fun, but for me, the finale just fell short, and it wasn't because of expectations, it wasn't because of theories, or because I love a good Star Wars story, even if it's just nothing, to do with big characters or whatever. But for me, it just didn't satisfy. And I hate to say it because I loved so much of the episode.
I really, just change the subject. That's what I do. Because there's oftentimes Meg gets on a tangent, and I try my best to get us back on course. And then you in the chat, some of you don't help. Some of you are not helping me at all. You're all on her side, which is why I
love
don't get
the
into.
Chat.
I don't get into debates with Meg very often because I know I'm going to lose. Not only would I lose because Meg is sharper witted than I am. She's really quick on the music. I just read really quick on the quips. Right? she roasts me all the time. There's videos of me all kind of shades of red. Right? So that happens, and then you in the chat, you guys don't cooperate. You're on her side,
which is brilliant. They often make me laugh while I'm talking.
I know, and I love it.
My eyes will just gaze to the right, and then I'll see a comment, and that will floor me.
It's a lot of fun. So the Book of Boba Fett, the finale for me was great. I loved the vast majority of it. There were bits of it I think could have been different, but I had fun watching it. it was enjoyable. And I saw Chillmonger do a video on it. And Chillmonger's in the chat here. Chillmonger did a video, and he said, "Look, I had fun when I was watching it. That makes it at least enjoyable, right? It was fun to watch. It was enjoyable. Had a good time, and that's the way I feel about it. And then I rewatched it with my wife in the evening, and I asked her, "What did you think?" She goes, "It was okay. It was okay." Which for her is really good, because normally when I talk to her about Star Wars, she says it's stupid, and I'm like, well, okay. So for her to say it was okay, that's a win. That's a win in my book. So yeah. So we've got Chillmonger. Yes, Team Santa. Thank you so much, Chillmonger. I appreciate it. Not that I think there's any loyalty. But I appreciate it. And Young Yoda says, I like Meg's humor, even yours.
You see, the young Yoda has great taste in humor. He gets it.
Am I now the sequel trilogy Santa? Or I'm sure it's a typo, but which, by the way, if you guys are kind of new to following Meg in the chat, her autocorrect is infamous. It's infamous. We've got all kinds of food replacements for names, and it happened as we were preparing this morning for the live stream, scheduling it. You wanted to talk about how Kira wasn't there, but how you missed quiche.
Yeah, there was no quiche.
There's no quiche.
No quiche. Made me sad. Needed the quiche. I don't even like quiche. Does anyone like quiche?
I don't know, but your autocorrect thinks that you need some more.
It changed Kira to quiche, Omega to omelette, and we had quite a few other blunders.
Takodana was
Takodana
Chipotle.
was Taco Bell.
Taco Bell, yeah.
And Tapoca City was Chipotle.
Chipotle, right? So now Kira is quiche. Just if you needed to know. So I saw Sheev ask a real question. He asked a real good.
Oh no!
What was your favorite part of what we could take this in two ways. The first is from the finale. What was your favorite part of the finale?
Probably when Boba and Din Djarin teamed up. We saw the jetpacks, we saw the knee launcher on old Bobby, and yeah, and also, and it said Yoda, Grogu using the Force on the Rancor sleep inducement, which I'm going to make a video about because I kind of feel like they've just confirmed that Grogu is Yaddle's kid with that scene.
Oh, because that was
if you look at the comics.
Reimbursed.
Yes, if you look at the comics, if you look at Yaddle, the one below, she kind of did that to creatures that were, a threat. But she also used that other Force ability, Moriko, the one that it's like an extreme version of it, which kills the creature. So it's kind of interesting how they threw that in. But it was also very symbolic, that moment. Like, Boba Fett is, has this beast inside of him from his past, but he can learn to put it to sleep. If that makes any sense. I kind of saw the symbolism there. So those two things were my favorite aspect. And obviously Boba riding the Rancor was cool. What about you, Santa?
Well, seeing Grogu cuddle up with the Rancor to take a little nappy nap, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Quite entertaining. Now that's all I can think about. But I pretty much enjoyed the entire episode. Boba riding the Rancor. The Rancor scenes were great, beginning to end. I loved all of it. Him doing the King Kong up the side of the building, him tearing apart those droids from Attack of the Clone concept art. Right,
one of the best movies.
No. No, but him tearing those things apart and going ham on those, that was great. All of the Rancor scenes are my favorite. All the Rancor scenes, which again, people could, I suppose, say, well, there you go. It's Boba Fett show, and your favorite part was the Rancor, not Boba Fett.
Well, here's the thing, Santa, and I think a big amount of, like a large amount of opinions on this really come down to one thing. And I was a huge Boba Fett fan, as well as Star Wars in general, but you weren't a Boba Fett fan.
No.
And that's the big difference as to why the finale fell flat for me.
One of my favorite Boba Fett episodes of the Clone Wars is when oh shoot, I just forgot her name. It throws him in the trunk and locks it, and then says, "There." What's her name? Asajj.
Mm-hmm.
Asajj Ventress. And they go on that mission together, and Boba Fett thinks he's in charge, and then all of a sudden she's like, "Yeah, get in a box." Click. I'm like, yes, put Boba Fett in a box. That's where he needs to be.
Oh wow, you like a proper raging hate boner for Boba Fett.
I don't like him.
So do you not like Omega by default?
I love Omega. Omega. She's the anti-Boba Fett.
That's actually really interesting. But why? Boba Fett's such an I mean, whatever. But we all have our own opinions. But for me, Boba Fett was always one of those really interesting characters. But again, I grew up with Attack of the Clones, and that kind of expanded it for me. Of
Look at this guy.
Yeah, like wow, this character from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi has a past, and it's not the past most fans expected.
Right, and this guy trolling me in the chat. Look, I've already got your background in here, Sheev. $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Sheev. But his favorite part was when Boba killed Cad Bane, and that's just trolling me. That's just being mean.
Well, he's not dead, according to Santa.
He's not dead. Not only does Santa think this, but lots of other folks do too. Hello Greedo did a video on it. There was another.
Is that the guy with the stormtrooper helmet?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And there was another guy that like Star Wars comics or something like that did a video on why he's not dead. There are lots of videos on why he's not dead. And I believe
That's
him.
fine. That's fine if they give us a season 2 and they have him come back and then there's like a more epic showdown. I'm fine with that. But and obviously Ming-Na Wen kind of backtracked on teasing a season 2, so I'm fine. I wasn't initially because I was like, that's it. That's how Bane dies. But then it's like, okay, it's fine. If there's a season 2, I get it. I see the bigger picture, or I see that there could be a bigger picture, and I'm happy with that. Which also leaves a lot of room for the Pikes to just be the first wave of this underworld. Because now that they're taken care of, what other threat is going to come to Tatooine? But I'm also thinking Boba Fett saying, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Is he going to stay as Daimyo?
I think he is. But it raises an interesting question. What is season 2 about? Like, is it sunshine and roses and happy, happy town? What's
I kind
the
of
deal?
hope they do what they did with The Mandalorian. Just take it a completely different direction. I know, like, at the end of season 1, we had the Armorer, put Grogu and Din on their quest to find Grogu's people. But it still subverted what we expected for season 2. It just blew our expectations out of the water. And I kind of hope that's what they do, because then we can look back on season 1 and see this build up. And also the name Book of Boba Fett, I loved the slow burn feel for the first few episodes. So keep that going. I can imagine 3 or 4 seasons of this and just keep it going. Tell this story so it can all wrap up by the end. Because we need a season 2, and I know a lot of people have a lot of counter arguments to this, but it's a Boba Fett show. There are a lot of people out there from his past who are still alive. Characters I was really hoping to see in this season, but if there are multiple seasons, I get it. And I really hope that's explored.
Yeah, and Matt Risman is not alone. There's a lot of people who are a segment of people who also think that eventually Boba Fett will end up with the Darksaber and become Mandalore. I think there's some interesting potential where perhaps for me, I think the potential is that we could end up with Jabba's palace being some sort of refuge for Mandalorians to come and kind of come together instead of on like that ring world and wherever else they are. Boba Fett could provide some sort of refuge for them, but I don't see him. I don't see him becoming Mandalore either. In fact, I think there's a higher potential of Grogu becoming Mandalore than Boba Fett, and
100%.
and I think it's more likely that Din will become Mandalore than even Grogu. So, and there's a really strong argument to be made for bringing Sabine back in some sort of sense. So.
I agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap. The story of the Darksaber goes way beyond the scope of Rebels and even what we've had in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. This is not a story that they're going to tell in just 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I think there'll be overlap with the Ahsoka series, with Mandalorian Season 3, with potentially a different spin-off. They're not going to give us the answer flat out. And obviously what we're all forgetting is Bo-Katan. She's still out there. We don't know where she and Koska and Axe Woves went, and she's not going to give up on wanting the Darksaber rightfully anytime soon.
Right. And Star Wars Fits, thank you for the €2 super chat. And that's a super sticker, I believe. But thank you so much for that. Appreciate your support. And yeah, Will Morgan is on that. Boba's Palace is a mainstay and other storylines. I think we could very well see that, and it helps avoid the whole Cara Dune thing, because they be going back to Takadana, listen to me, going back to Tatooine to Boba's Palace instead of going back to Navarro, right?
What's it got to do with Cara Dune, sorry? Oh, you mean because of the Gina Carano situation and Cara Dune's the marshal of
right, you just
Navarro.
avoid it. Right, you avoid it because you don't go back to Navarro.
I'm not sure about that. I'd rather they did go back to Navarro, because we kind of love that planet as Mandalorian fans at this point, and there's still Grief Karga, and he could be like, oh, the Marshal's, off-world. It could be 1 episode.
Yeah. I also have to say, I've got to be in this daggone Vader's lair for an entire week. That was the bet. And when we find out that Cad Bane's not dead, then Sheev, I'm coming for you. That's it. I saw another super chat come in from Matt right there. Just to be clear, I was trolling. Okay. Do not believe Boba will become Mandalore. LOL. Okay. Thank you for the super chat there as well. No, I could see Tatooine and Boba's Palace now becoming a central hub. I agree with you too that Navarro has a kind of a cool place because of Mando season 1 and 2, but it does avoid a lot of that if they use Boba's Palace. It makes it more relevant, and totally believe that Mando season 3 he's going to be going back to Mandalore to go take to be baptized in living water.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly where season 3 is headed. And the ending of the Book of Boba Fett kind of proved that Din Djarin is not ready to give up the tribe, the way of the tribe, the children of the Watch. What he says to Boba before they go out, how he's like, I'm going to die with you if that's what happens, or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think he's ready to give up the way. And obviously with, what's going on with Pedro Pascal, I don't think we're going to see a helmetless Din Djarin anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And Chillmonger asks, what species are native to Navarro? I don't know. I think Navarro is just a settled planet. Maybe just some creatures, but I don't think there's a sentient species that's native to Navarro. I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure they didn't expand much of the lore with Mandalorian planets, the ones that were introduced. If you look at the entry on Wikipedia for Arvala 7, which is where Grogu was being kept by the Niktos, there's not much information. I think it just says blurgs and a couple of the things we've seen.
Blurgs! I need more blurgs in my life, by the way. But Sheev, again, even the 1% Bane is alive, Boba will still kill him. So they keep bringing Cad Bane back to life just to have Boba kill him again, so that I can have to do this again. No, thank you. No.
So, when it comes to the Book of Boba Fett, I kind of like what Tamora Morrison said the other day about Season 2 and Mace Windu, because they need to address that in some way, this big load on Boba's shoulders, this heaviness, this chip on his shoulder that he has. And I have the perfect way they can do it. while also pleasing fans who want him to stay dead, and also pleasing fans who think he lived. And that is, the whole season he hunts him down. He comes across clues of Mace's whereabouts, let's say, but they never actually confirm if Mace is dead or alive, or at the end, he finds out Mace Windu did die, maybe after the fall, maybe the fall killed him, but the biggest takeaway is Boba's acceptance, like mentally speaking, of losing his father and forgiving Mace Windu, as hard as that is, and letting go. That's how I think they should do it, because then you don't have to bring him back, and you don't have to confirm he lived or died.
You just get maybe some flashbacks
Yes.
as he's dealing with that.
And the journey to that moment of him accepting could be great. I love storytelling when it's done in that way, and that's what I thought chapters 1 to 4, let's say, were doing. And that's kind of why I take issue with the last chapter, because they didn't really address much of the Tuscans. They didn't really address much of the flashbacks to Camino and Geonosis.
Yeah.
That's just my view.
So Lord Vito here with the $5 super chat is asking essentially that question. Do you think the Grogu flashback to Order 66 was unnecessary because they didn't follow through
No.
in the Book of Boba? I'd say I don't think it was unnecessary because we get more confirmation of his PTSD, why he has PTSD, and Luke addressing it. Like, I'm just helping him remember. I'm not really teaching, right? And so there's that, and then I think as well. So here's another question. My brain's going different directions. I wanted to follow up what you said too. I thought they did a lot of story setup. You mentioned the Sand People, our
Tusken Raiders.
Tuskens, right? And you mentioned the Tuskens as well, and I felt they did a huge setup for Tuskens, but we didn't get the payoff for Tuskens. And there was things like that I had hoped they'd foreshadowed. The other that you mentioned just a bit ago was a bigger bad, right? Like beyond the Pikes, what are the other syndicates out there? What are the other, power loves a vacuum or whatever, right? So you have this vacuum of power. Who's filling in that vacuum? Who are the different groups? We see that the Pikes were part of it, but I don't for an instant think that the Pikes are the big bads.
And that's why I'm happy if there's a season 2, because that for me it's like, this is a Boba Fett series. Do we not kind of expect there to be something a bit higher up than some Pikes? And we're getting Pikes in everything. Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Solo. It's like Tatooine. It's the planet that they seem to want to use for everything. I mean, I get Obi-Wan because of Revenge of the Sith, but...
Right. But when we see it over and over in like Book of Boba Fett, I mean, the whole story was essentially based on the planet, and to presume that a Book of Boba Fett season 2 might involve Tatooine quite heavily, and that even now for Mando and the other series, how many of them are going to now use Tatooine as some sort of step-off point?
Definitely not Ahsoka. I can't see Ahsoka using Tatooine for any reason whatsoever.
No, incidental perhaps, but for me with Ahsoka, she's got to be going back to Ezra's hometown.
Lothal.
Yeah, Lothal. I think Ahsoka's going to go to Lothal plenty. But
do you think that's where Luke met Ahsoka?
Probably,
because in the comics, Luke goes there and he finds Yoda's holocron.
Yeah, I could see that. And to Lunga's point about storytelling, if I'm going to be critical, it's going to be in that phase where we knew that Grogu went with Luke at the end of Mandalorian season 2, and then they complete the Din and Grogu in Book of Boba Fett, and then you could go back to Mandalorian, and anybody who hasn't seen Book of Boba Fett's going to need some sort of scene to backfill what they missed. And so it just makes for a little bit of clunkiness there. And and I think there's been some conversation about why weren't all of these just one series? Mandalorian 1, Mandalorian 2, Book of Boba Fett. Maybe not those titles even, but some other title, and it's just season 1, 2, 3, 4, and it switches from focusing on Din to focusing on Boba Fett to focusing on somebody else. You could throw in Rangers of the New Republic and some of these other rumored series under whatever that title would have been, and we just change reference points, and they're all part of the same, because they are, right? They're all part of the same story in universe. I kind of get it, and it would make more sense to conclude Grogu and Din's story than if it weren't in an entirely different series.
Yeah, I can see that. I think for me, it's more the fact that the Book of Boba Fett didn't deliver what you'd expect a Boba Fett series to deliver.
Right.
Everything kind of felt like you're supposed to be enjoying this, but they're missing some of the very basics of storytelling. And that for me was the biggest shame. It almost hits the mark. And how bloody dark was some of the scenes in the early episodes.
Right.
I had to turn off the lights.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, that's Boba. Somewhere in the darkness.
Right. Yeah. There's another criticism of Robert Rodriguez being too, and I saw Mark Hamilton in the chat bring it up as well. His Spy Kids influence was too prevalent. Not enough Star Wars. I could see that.
I'm of the opinion that maybe Robert Rodriguez isn't as good with Star Wars than I thought he would have been.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he's a very talented guy, and I don't take that away from him.
Yeah. Yeah. And we saw glimpses of it in Mandalorian season 2, the way he treated Boba Fett coming in and smashing stormtrooper helmets and just being absolute savage, right? And when you saw in the previews or leading up to it, some of the comments that it's going to be barbarian Boba, I didn't see a lot of barbarian Boba. Did I miss it? Where was it?
The weird thing for me was the trailer. Looking back, after being promised everything's all killer, no filler, all the footage from the first 15 minutes, well, that was a bloody lie. But it was just the fact that they could have used some actually really exciting footage from the show that wouldn't have really spoiled anything. You didn't have to use Grogu, Luke, or Cad Bane, but you could definitely have had some of those shots of the Tuskens, chasing the train, or even Mando. We all knew Pedro Pascal worked on this.
Yeah. So you made me think of another thing that I kind of, in retrospect, looking back, I don't really get the point of the Niktos.
Exactly.
It was fine. It was fine that they were in Tashi Station, and when Boba Fett went in there and just laid ham on them without really saying a word, right? Like, he just went in and took them out. That was great. But then, what's the point of having him believe that the Niktos killed his Tusken family and him to wipe them out, only to find, like, why couldn't that have been the Pikes anyway? What good does the story serve other than allowing him to go in the slave one and blow them all up?
Sloppy writing, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't get why they use the Pikes. I don't see the point when you've got syndicates out there like Black Sun.
Well, I
remnants
think
of what they're setting up in the Crimson Reign comics.
Yes.
Or at least have the Pikes just be like one of the people who are part of maybe a new Shadow Collective or something.
Right. I could see even Cad Bane being the one that killed the Tuskens. I could see the Pikes killing the Tuskens. I don't get the point of having the Niktos set up to do it. It doesn't change the story at all. Like, Boba's going to war with the Pikes either way. It's not like, oh, now I'm mad. He was already going to war with them. So it didn't change anything. And that bothers me looking back. And I think on any rewatch, it'll be, well, this is sort of pointless, right?
Mm-hmm.
the Nikto part of it, Matt.
And that's why I have no urge to rewatch it. I can't help but feel like this whole show, as much as I loved the first few episodes, it just kind of didn't amount to anything. What has changed from start to finish apart from... And Boba at the end being like, I'm just not cut out for this. Well, great. Thanks.
I don't think he means like he's not going to do that job. He's like, this is new, right? But anyhow, and Chillmonger brings up a point here. The Pikes saved themselves from retaliation by framing the Niktos. Perhaps. But
the mental gymnastics of trying to defend some of these decisions is incredible to me.
Well, yeah.
I don't understand. Did I watch the same show?
Well, I like what Chillmonger said there. It's really good, but I don't think the story told it well enough. I would have preferred to have that really clear. And look, Lunga's trying to get brownie points with you, right? He's brown nosing Meg. I see you, Lunga. I see you.
I was on I watched the Tatooine show they did the other day. He had some really awesome opinions and made you really think. He kind of broke it down.
Don't give Lunga a bigger head than he already has. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
Congratulations to him because he recently got married as well.
He did. Congratulations, Lunga. Yes, exactly. And I love Lunga, and we need to make sure that everybody sends Lunga a Black Series Omega figure. They just have those up for pre-order. Lunga, all we need is your home shipping address, and everybody can order one and have it shipped directly to you. I know that you would on a whole shelf of nothing but Omega action figures. That's for sure. That's going to elicit some cursing. Just brace yourself. It's coming. No, I think that they could have made some better decisions in storytelling, and Lunga did make a really good video yesterday about it. So he made some really good points. For me, it was I'm more with Chillmonger in thinking I had fun this season. I enjoyed the season, and I had fun during the finale. It was an enjoyable time for me, and I didn't get upset.
Yeah, for sure, but they're treating it like Netflix shows. It's bubblegum. You chew it out, you spit it out, and you move on to the next one. And that's not what Star Wars should be. It should leave a lasting impression. I woke up today, 2 days after the finale, and just like, I can't wait for Kenobi. I have no ounce of me that really wants to go back and be like, oh, let's rewatch Book of Boba. And I don't have that for anything else I've seen Star Wars. I've even gone back and rewatched the sequels many times. And they're not even my favorite trilogy. They're my least favorite trilogy. But I see the value in so much of that storytelling compared to this. This is just for me like, I know how it ends. And it's like, and people say, well, it's part of a bigger story. It's like, yeah, obviously, hopefully, you'd hope so. But the gymnastics you got to do mentally to defend this as a good show, if that's the standard, we deserve what we get. I'm sorry.
I've heard that. I've heard that as well, that people are afraid that if this is what people set as the standard, that the standard will come down, or the quality will come down to the standard. Right. So if the standard is higher, the quality will rise to the standard. And so the fear is that we lower the standard. For me, I had a fun time. I can't, well, I can nitpick things. Overall, I can value it. I loved it. I had a great time. And I know that.
Glad you did, Santa. I was completely on board with you for chapters 1 to 6. And I still think they're amazing episodes. And there are some great moments, some fun moments. But for me, the finale, it's like a dessert at a restaurant. The main dish can be as good as you want. You're going to remember the dessert because it was the last thing you ate. And it's kind of the same thing for me. I don't mean to sound toxic, as some people have been saying, but I'm just going to be honest with you. It's a shame.
If I wave my hand, will you get sleepy and just take a nap? Right now? Grogu's entertaining Rancor Meg. That's great. Will Morgan. That's
just
funny.
Speaking my opinion. That's all it is.
I know.
And I'm so happy for people who loved it. I'm not going to be on the hate train. Nothing like that. I love Star Wars. All of Star Wars. I root for Star Wars to do well. I love I've loved the Disney Plus series until this point.
Yeah.
I'm not on the train of like, oh, cancel Disney Plus and all of that crap. I love Star Wars. I love The Mandalorian. I love Rebels and Clone Wars and Bad Batch and everything. But
Yeah.
for me, this episode just didn't hit the mark. And unfortunately, it ruins a lot of elements of the previous ones for me.
It's good. Well, I'll agree that the finale lowered my rating of some of the previous ones, as I mentioned, with like the Nyctos. When I go back and rewatch those, and I will, when I see those, I'm not going to be as high on it as I was when I first saw it. At the end of the day, it's still going to be good. I gave the series as a whole about a 7.5, right? The 75 out of 100, a solid C. It was fun. I had a good time. Parts of it were A ratings for me. The finale was an A for me, but as an overall, it kind of lowered some of the other. So I had to kind of reevaluate, because we were going through, you and I agreed a lot of times. It was like, oh, that was an 8. That was an 8. But then I go back now and I think, oh, maybe it was a 6. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Oh, and as you said, really, really well, that we all have opinions. We all are looking for different kind of things. And some of us enjoy certain stories better than others. And there's certain A for the finale. Yes, an A for the finale, Lunga. It was fantastic. But I don't enjoy jump scares. I don't like horror movies. And anything that has a jump scare or horror movie, I'm not going to enjoy. And there are people who do love that. They have great time watching those, and they have a lot of fun watching them. Well, I just don't. And so it's fine. I loved it. I had a great time. And if you didn't, I understand. I understand. That's fine. We should be able to have these kind of discussions. Obi-Wan, you said you woke up today really excited about Obi-Wan. And let me bring this in. Our friend Jason Ward over at makingstarwars.net, he has been releasing some stories about the Obi-Wan series. He's got some information, and this exclusive that he published, I think, yesterday, the 10th. Today's the 11th. That makes it yesterday. Yeah. So he talks about being excited. You're going to see Darth Vader return in episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6, all featuring Vader as the main antagonist, pulling the strings. Pulling the strings. Vader's role is major, and the hype is not misplaced. That's exciting, right?
Very. I think I covered this morning.
You did. You absolutely did. And you guys, if you haven't seen Meg's video from today, you should. She covers all of these topics that we're going to talk about, but she did it in like 10 minutes, and we're just going to jibber jabber about it for a while. But
I think what's great about this is, the consistency is going to be there because Deborah Chow had every episode. Yeah,
and I want to mention this as well. Like the Book of Boba Fett was overseen by John and Dave. The story wasn't done. And those episodes weren't written by different writers, right? I mean, Dave was primarily involved in one.
It was just Jon Favreau, apart from Chapter 6, which was co-written with Filoni.
Right. So while you may feel like there's some disjointed bits in there, the story as a whole was overseen by John. And as you mentioned here, we get Deborah Chow directing all of it. And of course, John and Dave involved in the writing of it. So I think it's great. I think it's going to be fun.
I don't think John and Dave did any writing for Kenobi. It's what's his name? Gerald something. I can't remember his name. There are a couple of writers. One of the people from Force Awakens, a guy who's never really written for TV, and Ewan McGregor had some input, but there's no John and Dave. Dave Filoni would have obviously had to approve it because he's the creative executive director.
Right.
But I doubt he would have been making any big decisions for this show.
Yeah. Okay. And she was agreeing. He says, as far as I know, writing for Dave and John for Kenobi, Meg's right.
Joby Harold. Thank you, Matt.
There we go. Matt got it. And I've seen a lot of people with this kind of concern, and one of them being Thor Skywalker. I watched his video on his concerns with Kenobi as well. and look, Thor tends to be a little more hypercritical than a lot of others, but and so take that with that understanding. But I think he represents a good number of fans who share those concerns. Like, if this isn't done well, if the people have expectations of a particular story, say Book of Boba Fett, right? They expect a certain type of Boba Fett, and then the story doesn't deliver on that type of Boba Fett, then there's a lot of criticism. Like, what on earth are you giving me? Right? Nikki is one of them. She's super critical of Boba Fett in the Boba Fett series. So I get it. And I think if they're not careful here with Kenobi, those folks are liable to be really upset. Right.
I mean, yes, for one thing, I'm not worried about Kenobi. Not at all. The book, if you look at the setup for the Book of Boba Fett, there was every reason to be worried. A lot of the worry from fans at the start, like at the very start when we first got the post-credit scene of Mando, was how is this going to distinguish itself from The Mandalorian? And it did for a while, and then it didn't. And the great thing about Kenobi is, I mean, I can't speak for Deborah Chow apart from her amazing work in The Mandalorian, but Disney knows how to write Darth Vader. I'm not worried about that. I mean, look at Rogue One, look at Rebels. I feel like they actually understand the character. As for Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, I know he had a bit of input in the writing. Yes, they could mess it up, as people say. I'm just not as worried about this one. I just can't see them messing it up just because there is a lot of, I know they don't like to call it source material because most of the source material is Legends between this time period. But there is a lot out there that they can draw from, and that I think, they're probably going to draw from, at least to an extent. And from what Jason at Making Star Wars has been saying about the caves, about the Luke and Leia subplots, it sounds like it's actually going to do a bit of justice to Revenge of the Sith. And I kind of hope that it's going to take it in a different direction. I want to see it be a bit different. And, with the Inquisitors coming into it as well, that's another Disney creation. They're probably going to ace it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption as well, and super excited to see some Inquisitors in live action. Mm-hmm. Wow, and Jason shared as well that this one actor in here, is it this Tom O'Connell? Yeah, Tom O'Connell. He also plays a Jedi Knight in Obi-Wan. So here you get another Jedi, but he says he plays a Zabrak Jedi without the tattoos. Like Koth, all right? Mm-hmm. But as you mentioned in your video, that dude's dead, right?
But they could easily retcon that because they've retconned parts of the Vader comics. They're not afraid to make the live action stuff a bit different. And I don't think the hunt for Koth, which was in that one Vader comic, is as consequential as most story points from the comics that impact the live action or animated stuff. And I'm happy if they retcon Koth's death. He was a very interesting character.
You could just as easy have a different dude, same looking dude, but different name. And
that's probably what's going to happen. It'll probably be just a new Zabrak Jedi, which is fine.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine too. And if there's any criticism at all that I've seen, especially from some of us in the older generation, is that we were told that Luke was the only chance. Your only hope. In Obi-Wan and Yoda basically tell him, look, if you fail, then all is lost. And they said, no, there's another, meaning Leia. But it gave us the impression that was it. But you learned, oh, no, you've got Ahsoka out there, and you've got Ezra out there. And now you've got this guy out there. You've got a bunch of other Jedi here and there. You've got, what's his name in the video game?
Cal Kestis.
Yeah, Cal Kestis. There's lots of them.
But it's fine because you can say Obi-Wan never said there were no Jedi. He said the Jedi are all but extinct. That doesn't mean there's literally not one. I would consider 7 Jedi being alive pretty much extinct.
I have no, I don't, I just say that other people my age are complaining, right? And I understand the complaint. I don't really have a big problem with it. George retconned stuff all the time himself, so it doesn't bother me in the least. And
Same.
the other part of that is that um, uh, I have very high expectations for like the Ahsoka series, and I would hate to see that things ended with with uh, with her before the original trilogy or many of these others. So I'm fine with expanding the legacies. Fine with expanding the universe, letting other exist out there, as long as they put some sort of context around it. Look, the bar is pretty low for me to be able to buy in. I'm like, oh, okay, good. You gave us a reason. I'll move on.
You know what I want to see as well is Shakti. I mean, if you saw the Patreon video where me and Sheev reacted to the deleted scenes of Sith, she died like 5 fucking times. And, you know, we don't really see her die in the film itself. And in Legends, she survived. Pretty sure she rescued a few younglings before going to Felucia or something like that. I'd love to see them do a bit of that. They won't, but, you know. They don't acknowledge much of the prequel era in prequel stuff. I was really surprised when we saw Caleb Doom, Kanan Jarrus,
yes,
and Depa Billaba. That surprised me.
You know, and I brought this comment up from Robin as well, because I've seen people say, "What about retconning Asajj Ventress's death?"
That's fine too.
I would love to see
Was in
that.
a book.
It was, and I read it. It was done really, really well. But when I think Asajj now, I think of Quinlan Vos, because they had a relationship in that book, a romantic
And
one.
her death turned him back to the light or something, didn't it?
Yeah. I would love to see Quinlan Vos and Asajj Ventress. Sign me up. And if that means they have to retcon a book, well, I suppose I can live with that.
I'm happy with that. I don't care too much about Dark Disciple.
Yeah, I think they could do that, but I don't know that they will, but they could, and I would
just
be fine with it.
Just don't retcon stuff that matters, you know.
Well, and then that becomes subjective, doesn't it? Like, well, it mattered to me, but it didn't matter to you.
It's kind of common sense, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think many people are going to lose it over like a background Jedi who actually survived,
or bringing in a fantastic character like Asajj and saying, "Oh, you guys love this character? How about we give you more?" They'll be like, "No, thanks." No. People are going to say yes, please. I'll take more. It's like Maul getting cut in half, right? George wanted more. He's like, well, figure it out. We'll bring Maul back. It's the same, right? As long as you've got a great character that people love, for the most part, it'll get accepted. I actually saw a video recently where somebody was still really, really kind of butthurt about Maul not being dead. And I was like, oh, dude, you need to get over it. Like, it's been a while. But that's me.
The interesting thing with all of this is just like, we do need to brace ourselves for this series in the sense that there probably will be a lot of filler. A lot of it will explore Kenobi just trying to survive. And I'm happy with that. I love that aspect. You know, we're probably going to see PTSD-induced dreams, but he's probably just going to meet a bunch of nobodies, you know, from the different cities on Tatooine, and he's obviously trying to be low-key. He's trying to not be visible as a Jedi, and only, I think, a select few knew that he was a Jedi in Legends. But we need to be prepared for the fact that it's not just going to be fan service. Those expectations would be really a bit too high. And we know from what all of these people have said, all of these outlets, that there will be a lot of downtime. Obi-Wan just trying to hunt for food because Bail Organa didn't send him any money.
Yeah, he's not sending care package with some cookies in it. No, that's sad. That's good. The other concern is, of course, the Obi-Wan and Kenobi, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Vader rematch, right? And retconning some of the verbiage in the original trilogy to mean not what you thought it meant. and I'm okay with that as long as they make it make sense.
But that's not a retcon, because Vader says in Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan once thought as you do, implying Obi-Wan and Vader met between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, where Obi-Wan tried to convince Anakin to come back to the light.
Well, that's not what we assumed at the time. I think that the language they've used in the original trilogy leaves it open. Like when last we met, you were the master and I was but the student, right? So for them to retcon that the last time they met wasn't when we think that it was a different time, I'm okay with that, right? Because you thought that meant before he turned to Vader. But no, it can be after he turned to Vader if you look at it from a different perspective.
And from a different perspective, Vader at this point might still be a learner to Emperor Palpatine.
Right, that's my point.
It could be taken very different ways.
Exactly.
Getting hung up on the language and then changing it is something George Lucas did all the time. I wouldn't see this as a problem whatsoever.
Well, there are people concerned about it, and I'll acknowledge.
Do you remember when it was implied that Obi-Wan's master was Yoda, and then he was, and then they made it Qui-Gon, and then he was like, "Well, actually, I never said that. I said the person who instructed me." And technically, Yoda instructed him after Qui-Gon's death. So
right. Oh, which again, another funny part about the season finale of Book of Boba Fett is when Peli tells Grogu, "Oh, that's a terrible name. I'm not calling you that." Like,
I think that was a dig at fans who.
I think it was too. And I loved it. I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. Because the fans say that kind of thing, and that's essentially what I look at here as well. Like, okay, we're just going to change it, and if it takes you some time to get used to it, that's okay. So I want to bring up this other story. Ahsoka series is going to be filmed in April, and the Bestman Bulletin, we've got a couple stories from them today, but this came out, and it has a working title now of. It's got a real cool working title, Stormcrow,
which is a reference to Gandalf, and obviously Ahsoka at the end of Rebels looks like Gandalf.
Yes,
so it's kind of hinting at the journey that Sabine and Ahsoka are about to take.
Yes, and it ties into what Will Morgan and I were talking about, the Book of Boba Fett having some Lord of the Rings references and kind of vibes in it. There was time during the finale, I was like, "Ooh, this has some Helm's Deep vibes to it," and I got those kind of things. And for this to have a Lord of the Rings kind of reference in it is fantastic to me. I love it. And the thing is, and we talked about this beforehand. So you guys, this is me acting like I'm asking Meg a question, like I don't know the answer, but I do. It's a Meg. You got to play along. You got to act like I didn't ask you this already. Are you worried at all that Ahsoka is being bumped back to April?
No, that's like a month, maybe even a few days, if it's at the end of March.
Right.
I don't think it's worth making a video being like, it's being delayed by 4 days. From the 28th of March to the start of April.
I'm not worried at all either. And they said the reason it got bumped back is because they were still doing some work on The Mandalorian. Does that mean that our hair needs to be on fire? That The Mandalorian season 3 is in trouble? They needed extra filming time.
No. I think Carl Roberts tweeted earlier that it's going really well. That there's, a lot of reason to be excited.
Shocked, I say. Right. I'm not worried.
He made me wear this stupid hat as well. Notice he's not wearing a hat. I'm wearing the red tip.
Well, it's because I'm in this. I'm on Mustafar. It's way too hot to wear a hat in Mustafar. I'm just. It's all Sheev's fault. In Bestman Bulletin, even in here, they said, "Look, this isn't any reason to be concerned. This is all normal kind of stuff. That it gets pushed back. They kind of work within schedules. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be fine." I will ask: do you think that there was a rumor that came out and then it kind of disappeared that Mando season 3 was going to be December 28th? Do you think there's any legs to that?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't see anything that's validated. I want to think that it is too, that it does have legs, but at this point, it's just unconfirmed rumor, right?
Mando does have legs.
What? And
Whether that's 2 or 3.
don't. Why?
He has a third one betwixt his legs. By the way, do you want to know something funny? When I was writing my script for my episode breakdown the other day, I didn't realize how wrong something sounded. I recorded it and I burst out laughing and had to change it back. So I said something along the lines of, "It was so great to see Grogu get his favorite toy back, Mando's knob." But I meant Mando's control knob. It's funny how one word can change everything.
Oh, it's too bad you didn't release it that way. That would have been hilarious. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm not concerned, and I think the extra filming time for Mando season 3 doesn't put that date at risk. I think we can hope to get Mandalorian season 3 December 28th, and everything is fine. Everything's fine. I'm not worried at all. So I just wanted to bring that up because prepare yourself, brace yourself, my friends. You're going to see videos of look. Star Wars is in trouble. Ahsoka was pushed back. Filming delayed. Mandalorian season 3. It's all nonsense.
It is. I think a lot of people just can't handle the fact that this is all leading to the sequels. And Ronnie asked, does knob mean something bad?
No,
a lot
not
of people
bad.
enjoy them. They're enjoyed the world over by men and women and everyone.
Everyone. But release the knob cut. We do need a Star Wars Meg outtakes. That would be great. You should give us a compilation videos. Yeah, of all your outtakes. Like as the sirens going back behind you and you start cursing because you're almost done. Now you got to redo. All right, we need that.
I think that's a good idea. I think we should get someone to just go through all of our streams and just cut out the jokes, make a massive compilation, release it at Christmas for everyone's viewing pleasure.
That would be great.
Pleasure, that's another thing knobs bring. Some people have them, some people don't, but they're enjoyed the world over. Even fake ones. Here again. And they make them different sizes, different shapes. Anyway.
It is hot here on Mustafar.
Just trying to be educational.
I'm just saying. Sheev, why is it so hot on Mustafar, Sheev?
Santa's wife did say that her favorite pizza topping was sausage, and then Santa says she can handle the sausage. And I said, I'm so happy to hear that. But she doesn't like Santa's olives.
That's not what I said.
Or was it Santa? I can't remember.
So Bespin Bulletin, they put another article out. It's so hot. It's so hot. Oh my goodness. I can't take it.
By the way, how did Cad Bane know that Boba had a back to tank?
Good question. Well, Cad Bane knew a lot of things, right? He's a good at getting information, right? He knew that Cobb Vanth had armor and that they took it away from him, right?
Sorry, I looked at the comments.
I know you looked. I saw what you saw. Just look away, Meg. Look away.
Santa's sausage and 2 little olives.
I can't take it. Oh my goodness. Who is hot? This other story by Bespin Bulletin. Mystery Star Wars series codenamed Grammar Rodeo, filming in June. I saw your video today. You did a really good job of summarizing what it could be. There was this other article that came out by Jordan Mason on the 4th that said Kid Focus High Republic live action series is in the works. And this exclusive, we talked about it earlier in the week, but is it like a Stranger Things kind of vibe to it? And that this series could be that series. Maybe not, but it's very interesting. Like, yeah, Ronnie, what did you miss? I'm on Mustafar, and it's hot on Mustafar. Just ask Sheev. You watch some of Sheev's video; he's sweating. It's hot on Mustafar. That's it. Oh my goodness.
Me and Sheev have a lot of these kinds of conversations, but they never make it to the final patron cut.
I was going to say, if you guys want more of that kind of content, you need to be a patron for Star Wars Meg. You can find her patron information on her channel. You should join, and you can get the not ready for public consumption videos that her and Sheev have been doing that make this seem very mild, very mild.
Well, we started the stream the other day, and Sheev goes, "You look like Where's Waldo?" And I was like, "Oh, damn it, I see it now."
Oh my goodness.
I also made a very, very inappropriate joke about a judge that was in the news. I probably shouldn't repeat it on here. It'll be like instant
how about we don't?
Demonetization. Well, and demonization.
How about we don't? So this code name Grammar Rodeo, and you mentioned this is a bit of a callback to a Simpsons episode, right?
Yes, Bart on the Road.
So at least that working title, this Grammar Rodeo thing. Not that it would be a Simpsons kind of themed show, but very interesting story, and one to keep kind of an eye on to find out if they give us perhaps at Investor Day or whatever in May, we can learn more about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. And this kid-focused, like a Stranger Things kind of live-action show, I'm all for that as well. I love Stranger Things. Are you a fan of Stranger Things? Have you watched it? I've
seen a lot of strange things in my time.
I know you're Star Wars Meg. You're not Stranger Things Meg. You're not Netflix Meg.
All I know is that Stranger Things and It, which I'm a huge fan of, are in the same universe. But I've never seen Stranger Things. Everyone's like, "You're going to see Stranger Things." It was like, do you remember when Breaking Bad was like a huge thing, like 10 years ago? And everyone was like, "You got to watch Breaking Bad." So I didn't. And it's the same thing with Stranger Things. I just wait till they're past their popularity and like, yeah, I may watch Stranger Things. I'm weird like that. But as you say, I'm not Stranger Things Meg. I'm not Lord of the Rings Meg.
I know.
I'm not.
I can't. Two other little bits here, right? Two other bits of news. The first is it was John Williams' 90th birthday this week. Very exciting. It was fantastic. He was there, and there was this tweet went out, and it's kind of gotten some news that happy birthday. You quit looking. Don't read it. Happy 90th birthday to John Williams. And it said that they were recording music again, and they were smiling. And when he gave us the downbeat to play his piece instead, he played Happy Birthday, and then he kept conducting. What a joy. So he's recording some new stuff, rumored to be associated with a live-action series.
Mm-hmm.
Might it be Andor, or what do you think?
I think what happened is he did what he did with Rogue One, where the principal composer, who was Michael Giacchino, provided most of the score, but John Williams added just some of the main themes. And we could see that. It's probably for Kenobi, if anything. I mean, It's a bit late in the day now, but I really hope John Williams did something, because you can't have Obi-Wan and Vader in a show that doesn't have the Imperial March or the Force theme, which was originally Ben Kenobi's theme.
Well, and my daughter and I have talked about what a blessed time we live in when John Williams is composing. Mm-hmm. What a fantastic time we live in. Arguably the greatest composer of our day. I absolutely love his work, from Superman, the Olympic theme, which is going on right now, the Olympic theme written by John Williams, of course, Star Wars, and so many more. It just, it's
He's up there with some of the greats.
Yeah.
And I love his I love his stuff. Not just Star Wars, but Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, and also Schindler's List always makes me cry.
Yes. Yeah. Sheaf, he is the GOAT. You don't need to argue. That's true. I love John Williams, and it's one of these things where you'll be able to say, I was alive when John Williams was still composing. Great stuff. And then, of course, this piece here on the extended cut for Rogue One, there's an expanded edition coming. Very exciting. And the score, they're expanding the score. Michael Giacchino, Michael G. is expanding on the music by John Williams. It's exciting.
57 tracks.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's very exciting. And it's a great time. As we said, I think you call it the age of Beskar, right? For Star Wars fans, it is the Beskar age for Star Wars fans. It's great to be getting so much content that is some of the best Star Wars there is. Maybe not for everybody, but we're certainly bringing in new fans. We're certainly bringing in more eyes to the franchise, and it's staying relevant. It's staying current, and I'm happy that we're getting so much.
Does anyone else miss the Bad Batch? I miss the Bad Batch.
I do. I love the Bad Batch. Absolutely
Me too.
loved it.
And that was one of the things that when I rewatched it, I could appreciate just how awesome that was. It really felt like the Clone Wars Season 8. And I love where we're going with it because we're going to move into the Imperial era. The stakes are higher. And I don't know if you saw my video about Rogue One and the connection to Omega, but the Empire in the years leading up to the original trilogy did have in the data vault a retired project called Mark Omega. And that could have been the Empire's project to track her down.
Very well could. Very well could. I am super excited for the next season of the Bad Batch. I am curious if it's going to overlap with Kenobi or if they'll release the entire season in one drop. That would be new, but I
wouldn't mind if they dropped in one go, but I just think they should start doing where Kenobi's on Wednesdays, Bad Batch is on Fridays, but then you've got to consider the Marvel stuff. It's kind of a difficult one, and I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that there will be overlap, which is a bit of a shame for the Bad Batch because Kenobi is inevitably, at least for 6 of the 16 weeks, going to overshadow it. Yeah,
I agree. I kind of wanted the Bad Batch to be announced to start soon, maybe end of March, early April, to run us into the summer, and then to have because there was that one publication that listed it spring 2022. I'm like, well, March is pretty close. Well, we could do March or April and let it run through and then not have too much of an overlap at least.
It'd be great if it was May the 4th, but if it's earlier, then they could save May the 4th for the final Kenobi trailer.
That would be great. I very, very much would love to see that. And there are all kinds of questions about Omega's appearance in perhaps the, as you said, Rogue One, or what about Kenobi?
Maybe. I don't see how she'd fit in, though. I don't think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't either.
Direction-wise, I can't see how she fits in. If the Book of Boba Fett taught us anything, is they really use their episodes to tell very... Oh, I don't want to sound harsh, but everything is quite surface level in terms of the story. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to waste time with Omega in Kenobi. I could see her in Andor, though, because that's about the early rebellion. They've already made connections to Hera Syndulla in the Bad Batch Season 1. And no, Omega is not the armorer. I think that's the worst fan theory I've ever heard. First of all, the accents are different.
The accents are
different. The
different.
timeline doesn't add up.
Right. Right, and it'd be a very deep cut for that to be the case. So you have a lot of splaining to do. I think that the best argument for the armor being somebody other than just the armorer is Rook cast. And we
Yes.
don't even know that for sure. But if there's anybody that she is, it'd be that, or she's just the armorer. That's okay too.
Something I'm curious about is who was that Omera character from Mandalorian season 1?
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
always got me thinking, like, who is she?
His
Because it'd be a
almost
very
girlfriend.
easy thing for Omega to change her name to not be found to Omera.
and dye her hair. I suppose. Yeah. Or we just don't know where her story goes at this point, and that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing Omega's story continue in Bad Batch season 2, and perhaps get her live action character shown. And I saw somebody say Millie Bobby Brown. Millie Bobby Brown would be great, but again, the accent isn't there at all. She could learn it for sure. I love Millie Bobby Brown, but
she's not a Zealander though.
That's what I mean. Right?
I really hope they don't go for that.
I could go for about any of that, but at the same time, I'm just anxious to see where her story goes, and if she ties into the Book of Boba Fett at some point in the future. Well, my theory all along has been that Omega and Fennec Shand are going to be partnered during the original trilogy era, but I don't know. That'd be
I hope not.
interesting.
I really hope not.
Why not?
What precedent is there for them to be working together other than the fact that they met? And the fact that Fennec Shand is an assassin?
Well, yeah. So so Fennec was saying, "I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to, save you."
Many characters have said that. Think of all the Jedi in the Clone Wars. Did they become clones?
No. But no, but we know the two of them are both missing as well during the original trilogy. We don't know where either of them are, and so
same with Harrison Dula and Ahsoka and Ezra and Thrawn and sorry, I'll let you talk.
I give. No, I just think I think it would be interesting to see her go under the tutelage of Fennec and see what her character could become. That's all. So
I guess that'd be so underwhelming.
Okay.
Like, I only care about. That's not the right way to word it. I like Fennec Shand. I really do. She's one of my favorite characters in the Disney Star Wars era. I don't see that happening. They're definitely going to run into each other again in season 2, and maybe even season 3.
Yes.
The only actress I could see playing Omega is Keisha Castle Hughes. She played a queen of Naboo, which is the only reason I think maybe she won't be a different character. But she is the spitting image of what I expect for an adult Omega. You just dye her hair a bit.
That'd be great. And the one thing that Mark Hamilton is really hoping for is more of the mod gang riding those Vespas. He wants an entire show except nothing but Vespas and mod gang. Pretty sure.
I think they'd have quite a cool show. It appealed to youngsters, which is fine. That's what Star Wars is for.
Yeah. Hey, X-Wing made it here at the end of the stream. So any other...
What's the last Jedi quote that Leia says to Luke? At least you're here at the end. His X-Wing's favorite film is The Last Jedi.
Have we talked about Rey yet? No, we haven't, but we could, just for you, X-Wing. There was a giant freaking robot article out. It shows up in my feed because I get alerts anytime there's any story about Rey. I love Rey, and I follow all the fans of Daisy Ridley, and so I see her show up on my Twitter feed, all kinds of places. Absolutely love Daisy Ridley, love Rey. And so Giant Freaking Robot put out an article saying that Daisy has signed on for 3 more projects. whether those 3 projects are 3 films or a video game, an animated series, and a Lego holiday special. Nobody knows. But it's Giant Freaking Robot, so I didn't talk about it. But since X-Wing came in and wanted to hear about it, I had to tell you. Yeah. Well, going back to bed.
I just can't get past when you said you've got Rey in all kinds of different places on the internet.
I do. I'm going to stand by that one, Meg. I'm not going to let you embarrass me out of it. I know where you're going.
You have done that yourself.
I have. So we any other than the Giant Freaking Robot article, anything other topics that I've missed? Anything you want to bring up?
Giant Freaking Robot sounds like something that Bill Burr created. It's a giant freaking robot.
That's great.
Anything I want to bring up? Not particularly.
Okay, well, we have a Mike Porter dad joke today.
Fantastic.
Another Star Wars themed one. This one is: will Boba ride a Rancor and help save the day? You can fed on it.
That's funny.
Mike Porter, I love you, my friend, and he's been taking care of his dad. His dad's had a procedure done and is recovering. So Mike's been spending a lot of time at the hospital with his dad, and prayers are with your dad, Mike, that he gets healthy and back on his feet very
How
soon.
do we know that Santa isn't Mike Porter? I've kind of seen some links, some connections. Is there really a Mike Porter?
There is.
Or is it Santa's alter ego?
No, he is older than me.
Online on Discord at the exact same times.
He's older than I am, so I can't be him. It's because he's.
Which is exactly what you would say.
Oh, you guys, that is fantastic. I've had a lot of fun visiting with you again, Meg, as usual. We do have a couple of things coming up today. This afternoon, 4 p.m. X-Wing, new figure release, Santa. Check your DMs. I'm afraid I've been burned too many times by Martin Keeler. Are you going to do it to me? Oh, this is just for you, Meg.
What do you want to have done to you?
X-Wing created this, and I've got to bring this up just because you mentioned it. Let me share this before we.
Don't click
Mike
on
Porter,
any links.
You got to be careful.
You never know what they could need.
You really got to be careful. But
the minute you hit that share screen button is the moment you could have your channel removed.
It is. But X-Wing shared this. This is great.
Star Wars.
Star Wars with Migs Mayfield. That's very good. Thank you for that. Really excited for this figure. Oh, that's good. We have some things coming up today. 4 p.m. Eastern, so that's 9 o'clock Meg time. 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, we are going to have our members only meeting, and we'll give away some figures. We're doing a Lando Calrissian themed giveaways today. So I've got a vintage collection from just this past year, recent release. We've got General Calrissian, the Black Series figure, and then I've got a couple of bonus figures here that we're going to give away to our Elite Squad members. So you guys, if you're not on Discord, you can check YouTube community for the link to that at 4. And Meg, are you planning to be there again?
I should be.
Wonderful.
It's in like 3 hours time, just under.
If
you said you have General Lando, do you have a more specific Lando?
if you enjoy Meg harassing me and you want to participate in that, you should be there. It's a lot of fun. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be going with Al and Lavis Blackman on the Main Authority, the Main Authority YouTube channel. We'll be talking about the Book of Boba Fett with Al and Lavas. So you guys, if you are
That all
up
sounded
for
like
that,
a euphemism.
none of it. No, Al and Lavas are great guys, and I haven't been able to spend near enough time with them lately. So enjoy that as well. So we got lots of things going on today. It's a busy day, and Meg, we'll talk very soon. Very soon.
We will.
Thank you.
If
Thank
you could
you so
link me
much.
the Zoom.
I certainly will. I'll send you that link directly. And for all of you, thank you all for being here. We've had a lot of fun today. Yes. And shenanigans have been had. One-liners have been, zingers have been out. It got hot here in the Invader's Lair. Mustafar is a very warm planet. So you guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And we will see you very soon. Until next time, my friends, Merry Christmas. And may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.